His own grading, and you get a better grading or a lower grading, and that influences the price. If the grading is higher, the price is higher. So it's always the cut, the color, the clarity, and the carat weight that you look at. You can see no difference with your eye, with your naked eye. But you can see that the color has got a big influence on the stone. The white stone is always the most popular stone, and the round brilliant is also very popular. And it's more expensive to cut because it's got more facets. Each round brilliant stone has got 58 facets, which make it the more expensive to cut. It's more time consuming.
A 100 years ago, the diamond rush made Kommenskop one of the richest towns in Africa for a few years. There was a school up to year 5, solidly built. There was even a hospital for the white diamond high society. The X-ray machine is said to have been the first in southern Africa, for broken bones and probably also for detecting swallowed diamonds. When the diamond boom was over, the infrastructure decayed as well. The last building to be cleared was the hospital in 1952. It was left to the cold southwesterly wind that often sweeps across the arid landscape at high speed. The Germans built as they did at home, nurtured German culture and sang emotional songs about their love of a country they had taken away from the African peoples. The Südwesterlied of the German Scouts, composed in 1937, is still considered the secret anthem of the white Namibians. Christo Biwenga is 19 and is interested in the history of German Namibia. Here in the ruins, the past and the present blend in the singing of the controversial anthem.
Komm her, Dornholz, siehst du unser Land, und trocken sind seine Reviere. Die Klippen, sie sind von der Sonne verbrannt, und scheu sind im Busche die Tiere. Und sollte man uns fragen, was hält euch denn hier fest, ja fest? Wir könnten nur sagen, wir lieben Südwest.
The love of the foreign land grew with the discovery of the diamonds. August Stauch, a former railway inspector, was one of the first diamond millionaires. He owned half of Kommenskop, one visitor commented.
Stauch emptied the spoils of 3 days onto an enamel plate. 500 carats, 125,000 marks worth of diamonds in a soup dish for ridiculously low outgoings.
To this day, it's big business in Namibia. Mining and dealing in diamonds is in the hands of Namdeb, a semi-nationalised company. Namdeb also owns the ruined town of Kommenskop. There has been a little bit of renovation since 1980. Now more than 30,000 visitors come to the German town in southern Namibia every year. 10 kilometres away on the Atlantic coast is the port of Lüderitz. With its population of 20,000, it's the only inhabited town within 130 kilometres. Ingrid Wiesel has lived and worked here for 16 years. Many Namibian students, like Rusa, choose to do work experience with the knowledgeable hyena expert. Today they're off to the restricted diamond area, administered by Namdeb. The company is half owned by the South African De Beers Empire, which controls diamond mining around the world. Only a select few have access. Ingrid Wiesel's one of them. Past the old diamond washer of Kolmanskop, the route goes further and further into the desert. The Namib is extremely dry. Few plants and animals can survive here, but when the winter rains fall, which happens every few years, the desert even begins to flower.
But you see all these plants basically because they have to conserve water. And if you look at these plants here, these leaves have all the water in there. Yeah. And I mean, I wouldn't test it now, but most of the plants, I mean, are obviously not poisonous, but it's like usually pretty salty water there. But yeah.
It was the best thing that could happen to this area. A buffer zone to the coast was created where the diamonds were found. This buffer zone has led to the whole area being protected. Now we have an environment that's natural and unspoiled, which is quite unique in the world. You have to accept the whole coastal strip where the mines are and where the diamonds were found. That's what's so special about this Sperrgebiet.
In 2008, the coastal strip, which is 100 kilometres wide, was made a national park because of its unique flora and fauna. But it remains Sperrgebiet because diamonds can still be mined here with sand movements that destroy the habitat of many plants and desert animals.
Since we're working in the Sperrgebiet and we're dealing with the industry, and since we're also dealing with the ministries because the Sperrgebiet is now a national park and they're interested in promoting tourism, we pay far more attention to the influence of such human interference on the behavior and survival of the hyenas. We're looking at how the hyenas behave before a mine is built and what their behavior is like during mining and afterwards, after the mine disappears again. It's a lot more complicated for the development of the Sperrgebiet National Park. We have to determine which habitats are important for hyenas before lodges are built or tours are established. We have to say which areas we want to protect. We can determine which areas become nature reserves or wilderness zones. We've been successful with a few areas, but here on the coast, we're only just starting. We have to see that we make progress.
Hans Schmidt also has a special permit for the Sperrgebiet. He spent his childhood here. As a pensioner, he accompanied tourists. Today, he wants to pass on his memories to a colleague.
Look over there. People dug for diamonds by the railway line over there.
The diamond prospectors penetrated further and further into the desert. More and more mine towns were built in the Sperrgebiet. After the First World War, the German colony of Southwest Africa became a mandated territory of the Union of South Africa. But there were still lots of Germans working in the mines. One of them was Hans Schmidt's father. When one-year-old Hans arrived in Southwest Africa with his mother in 1929, his father was already working in the Sperrgebiet in Elizabeth Bay.
We spent my first Christmas in one of these wooden houses. It was the rule that everyone from Germany had to live in a house like this before getting a stone house. By the second Christmas in 1930, we were living in a stone house. And because water was scarce, there was just a small garden. I have a negative at home, but I can't remember which house it was. But I can show you a house where I lived with my mother in 1934-35 when I was in Elizabeth Bay for the second time. I wouldn't advise anyone to walk up here. I once fell down here. This was my bedroom. You can see the windows. This was the station. We had to get bread, meat and other food from there. They came from Luderitz Bay or Kolmanskop. There was a store in Kolmanskop. There wasn't a shop here. That was in 1934. In 1929, this was the big store. In 1929, the compound was over there. That's where the black workers lived. That didn't exist anymore in 1934 either.
More than 800 black itinerant workers, largely Ovambos from the north of the country, sieved the sand for the diamonds. They lived away from the German settlement in cowshed-like accommodation.
Die als 3 dagen nog, hè? Nou, hoeveel jaren? Staan die er open? Ja. Ja. Groep Eschen.
Right in the middle of the camp and almost intact is the central kitchen with a glass roof that was very modern for its day.
There were